The envelope landed on my desk with a soft thud. Inside was everything I needed to take down Patricia Reynolds, my mother-in-law. For 6 months, she had been trying to steal my $40 million inheritance. My name is Claire Bennett. I'm 32 years old, and today Patricia was going to learn she had messed with the wrong person. The money came from my father, a self-made tech mogul who built his fortune from nothing. He passed away suddenly 6 months ago, leaving everything to me, his only child. But what Patricia didn't know was that my father left me something more valuable than money. He taught me how to fight. My assistant's voice crackled through the intercom. "Mrs. Bennett, your mother-in-law is here for your meeting." I smoothed my silk blouse and tucked the envelope away. "Send her in, Angela." Patricia walked in like she owned the place, dressed in a Chanel suit, her silver hair perfectly styled. Behind her was my husband, Michael, looking uncomfortable, like always when caught between us. "Claire, dear," Patricia said with a sharp smile. "Let's discuss this like adults." I gestured to the chairs. "Please sit." They did. Patricia sat tall and poised, while Michael fidgeted with his tie. I studied them both, remembering how different things had been just a few months ago. When I first met Michael, Patricia welcomed me into the family with open arms. We met at a charity gala, fell in love, and got married within a year. Patricia had seemed happy, calling me good stock. Then my father died. Everything changed. The moment she heard about my inheritance, her attitude flipped. Suddenly, I wasn't good enough. She called me a gold digger, a social climber, someone who didn't deserve that kind of wealth. "I spoke with your father's lawyer," Patricia said, pulling a document from her designer handbag. "He believes the will is questionable. Your father was under stress. His judgment may have been affected." I kept my face calm. "Is that so?" She nodded. "Yes. In fact, he's willing to testify that your father had second thoughts about leaving everything to you. He wanted the money in a stable family's hands." She handed me the document, a supposed statement from my father's lawyer, Harrison. But I knew it was fake. Just yesterday, the real Harrison had shown me proof that Patricia tried to bribe and threaten him into lying. "Interesting," I said. "And what do you want?" Patricia smiled wider. "A fair deal. The money should go into a family trust, controlled by Michael and me. You'd still get a monthly allowance, of course." I looked at my husband, who was staring at his shoes. "Michael, what do you think?" He looked up, startled. "I just want what's best for everyone." Typical Michael, always avoiding conflict. At first, I had liked how easygoing he was. Now, I saw it for what it was: weakness. Patricia cut back in. "We need to protect this money for the future. You're not responsible enough to handle it, Claire. Your father's company has already lost 5% in stock value since you took over." She had done her research, but she left out the most important detail. The stock drop happened because I exposed a fraud scheme in our Asian division. Cleaning up the mess would only make the company stronger in the long run. "I see," I said, opening my laptop. "And I suppose your new offshore accounts have nothing to do with your concern for the future." Patricia's smile wavered. "I don't know what you mean." I turned the screen toward her. "No. 3 accounts in the Cayman Islands, all opened last month, right after you first tried to challenge the will." Her face went pale. How? How did you get this?" I smirked. "Let's just say I learned from my father. Did you really think I wasn't watching?" Michael finally spoke, his voice shaky. "Mom, what is she talking about?" I almost felt bad for him. Almost. "Your mother has been busy, Michael," I said, laying out more papers. "Bribing officials, faking documents, even hiring investigators to dig up dirt on me, all while pretending to care about the family." Patricia's calm mask cracked. "You little. You've been spying on me?" "No, Patricia," I replied coldly. "I've been protecting my father's legacy from someone who thought she could steal it with lies and fraud." I pressed the intercom button. "Angela, send in our guests." The door opened. Harrison walked in, followed by 2 men in dark suits, FBI agents who handle financial crimes. Patricia's face turned pale. "What is this?" "This," I said, "is what happens when you try to steal from the wrong person." The next few hours were a blur. The FBI questioned Patricia while I watched from my office, seeing her carefully built image fall apart. Michael paced outside, trying to call his mother's lawyer, glancing at me with hurt in his eyes. I ignored him and focused on the security camera feed. Patricia was doing what she did best: lying. acting like a concerned mother-in-law who only wanted to help the family. But I could see the cracks in her performance. My phone buzzed. A text from Harrison. She's blaming me. Says I told her to challenge the will. I smirked and typed back. Good thing we recorded everything. Patricia didn't know that Harrison had been working with me all along. The moment she tried to bribe him, he came straight to me. Together, we gathered proof. Every threat. Every illegal deal. Angela's voice came through the intercom. Mrs. Bennet, your husband wants to speak with you. I sighed. Send him in. Michael entered, looking exhausted, like he had aged 10 years in a few hours. Claire, tell me this is a mistake, he pleaded. Sit down, Michael, I said, pointing to the chair across from me. We need to talk. He sank into it, running a hand through his hair. I don't understand. Why would my mother do this? Money makes people do terrible things, I said. But this isn't just about money. Your mother never thought I was good enough for you. The inheritance was just her excuse to act on it. But why didn't you tell me? His voice shook. I'm your husband. I looked at him carefully. Would you have believed me over your mother? Be honest. His silence told me everything. Besides, I added, you weren't exactly innocent. Those meetings with Harrison, did you think I wouldn't find out? He turned pale. That was different. Mom said we had to protect the family's money by helping her steal what was mine. I cut him off. By standing by while she tried to destroy everything my father built. You didn't mean to hurt me. I let out a short laugh. It's funny how everyone says that. Your mother didn't mean to hurt me. She just wanted to steal my inheritance. You didn't mean to hurt me. You just helped her do it. Michael leaned forward, desperate. Claire, please, we can fix this. I'll talk to Mom, make her understand. There's nothing to fix, I said firmly. The FBI has all the proof they need. Your mother will be charged with fraud, forgery, and conspiracy. And you, I paused, letting the words sink in. You have a choice to make. His head snapped up. What do you mean? I kept my voice calm. I have proof of your involvement. Not as much as I have on Patricia, but enough to cause trouble for you. Whether I hand that over depends on what you do next. He looked at me in shock. Are you blackmailing me? I'm giving you a chance, I corrected. Walk away now. Sign the divorce papers my lawyer will send. Don't make any claims on my assets or my father's company, and I'll leave your name out of this. Divorce? He whispered. Claire, I love you. I laughed, but there was no warmth in it. No, Michael. You love the idea of me, the perfect wife who would go along with your mother's plans, who would hand over her inheritance to keep the peace. That person never existed. Before he could respond, Angela's voice came through the intercom. Mrs. Bennet, the FBI agents want to speak with you. Send them in, I said, holding Michael's gaze. Think about what I said. You have until tomorrow to decide. The agents walked in as Michael left, looking stunned. Agent Tess, the lead investigator, shook his head. Your mother-in-law is something else, he said. She's still claiming this is just a family misunderstanding. Did she explain the offshore accounts? I asked. She says they were business investments, Agent Wilson, his partner, replied. But we traced them to some interesting sources. Turns out Patricia's been involved in more than just this scam. I wasn't surprised. People like her never stop at just one scheme. You'll find everything you need in those accounts, I said. She's been secretly taking money from her own family's trust for years. Tess raised an eyebrow. How did you figure that out? My father taught me to be thorough, I said simply. Once I knew she was after me, I had her investigated. Everything is in the file I gave you. The agents left with boxes of evidence, and Patricia was led out in handcuffs. She held her head high, until she saw me watching through the office window. Then, for the first time, the mask slipped. The rage in her eyes told me everything. She had lost. You'll regret this, Patricia shouted as they led her away. You have no idea who you're dealing with. I gave her a cold smile. No, Patricia, you had no idea who you were dealing with. The fallout was huge. Within days, the story was all over the financial news. Patricia Reynolds, wealthy socialite, arrested for fraud and conspiracy. Mother-in-law from hell, inside the $40 million inheritance scheme. The headlines were brutal. Michael made his decision the next morning. He signed the divorce papers without a fight, looking tired and defeated. His carefully built life was falling apart. "I'm sorry," he said softly, sliding the papers across my desk. I should have stood up to her. "Yes," I said. "You should have." At the door, he hesitated. "What's going to happen to her?" "That depends on how many other victims come forward," I replied. "The FBI is uncovering decades of fraud. Your mother has been stealing from a lot of people, not just me." Patricia's plan to take my inheritance had backfired. It exposed years of financial crimes, stealing from business partners, distant relatives, even charities. A week after her arrest, I got an unexpected visitor. Catherine Reynolds, Michael's grandmother and the real head of the Reynolds family, asked to meet. She sat across from me, elegant in a perfectly tailored suit and pearl necklace. But unlike Patricia's fake charm, Catherine had a quiet strength. "Well," she said, her sharp blue eyes studying me, "you've certainly shaken things up." "Your daughter-in-law tried to steal from me," I replied. I kept my voice calm. I responded accordingly. Catherine's lips twitched. "Yes, you did. Quite impressively, I must say." She reached into her handbag and pulled out a folder, placing it on my desk. Inside were decades-old documents, proof of Patricia's schemes, carefully recorded. "You knew," I said, realization hitting me. "You've known all along." Catherine nodded. Patricia was reckless. She thought marrying my son made her untouchable. "I've been collecting evidence for years, waiting for the right person to bring her down." "And why didn't you stop her yourself?" "Because the Reynolds family name had to be protected," she said simply. "But you're not a Reynolds. You could do what needed to be done without worrying about family reputation." I leaned back, understanding. "So you wanted her exposed." "I wanted her stopped," Catherine corrected. "The exposure was just a consequence. Better it come from an outsider than from within." She stood, smoothing her skirt. "Our family lawyers will support the case against Patricia. And Claire," she paused at the door, meeting my gaze. "You would have made a fine Reynolds under different circumstances." Coming from her, it was high praise. The case against Patricia moved quickly. With my evidence and the Reynolds family's support, the prosecution built an airtight case. She pleaded guilty to multiple counts of fraud and faced years in prison. On the day of her sentencing, I watched as the judge handed down her fate, 10 years in federal prison, plus repayment to all her victims. Patricia, once so composed, now stood in a prison jumpsuit, her arrogance finally gone. She turned to me as they led her away. "I underestimated you," she admitted quietly. "Yes," I replied. "You did." Outside the courthouse, reporters swarmed, shouting questions about justice and revenge. But for me, it had never been about revenge. It was about protecting what was mine, honoring my father's legacy. A year later, I stood at the podium at my father's company's annual shareholder meeting. Our stock had doubled since I took over, and our expansion was exceeding expectations. Success isn't just about innovation, I told the packed room. It's about integrity, protecting what matters, no matter who tries to take it from you. That evening, a letter arrived from prison. Patricia's handwriting was shaky, her words pleading. She begged for my help, swearing she had changed. She even offered to reveal hidden assets in exchange for my support at her parole hearing. I tore up the letter without a second thought. On my desk, I kept a photo of my father. He was smiling, strong, and proud, the same way I now saw myself every morning. He had taught me more than just how to run a business. He had taught me to stand my ground, to never let anyone take what was mine. Patricia thought I was just an easy target, a spoiled heiress she could control. Instead, she ran into someone who had learned from the best. Someone who knew that in both business and life, you have to fight for what's yours. Michael still called sometimes, usually after a few drinks, talking about what we had lost. But we hadn't lost anything. We had only uncovered the truth, his weakness, his mother's greed, and my strength. Sometimes clarity comes with a cost. As for me, I was just getting started. My father's company was thriving, growing beyond even his biggest dreams. I wasn't just his daughter anymore. I was his legacy, proof that what he built would last. And if anyone else tried to take that from me, they'd learn the same lesson Patricia did. Some people shouldn't be underestimated.